All right, it is 6 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Kathy, roll call, please.
Mayor Pat Scanlon.
Here.
Councilmember Ben Argo.
Here.
Councilmember Brett Argo.
Here.
Councilmember Jason Chapman.
Here.
Councilmember Kurt Kipling is excused.
I have one amendment to the agenda, and that is item 9 will be removed. There is no public hearing necessary. Had trouble with the grant for that project. So I would move that we remove number 9 and approve the agenda as amended.
I'll support that.
Have a motion and support to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good. Public comment. Anyone? Anyone? I don't see any hands, do we, for Zoom land?
There is one. Yep.
Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay,
Could you
wonderful.
state your name and address, please?
Yes, I'm Bill Osmondson. I'm a dentist. I've been 46 years practicing dentistry and now in Issaquah, Washington, retired. I tried to get on last meeting and the audio was bad, so I never got on. I was a dentist for 25 years promoting water fluoridation. And over the last 25 years, I have been opposed to water fluoridation. Last month, I went out to the Washington, D.C., to the Food and Drug Administration, Center for Drug Evaluation and Research. I was invited to speak there. They paid my way, along with quite a few others who were on a panel to review fluoride ingestion. It's an unapproved drug. And my presentation started out by reporting what the Food and Drug Administration, the Center for Disease, and the EPA and the National Sanitation Foundation had all reported in sworn testimony in court. Not one of them had a safety study. Now that's most important, especially for you in voting because on fluoridation, because safety is critical and key. Not one had a safety study. They were asked, what is a safe dosage of fluoride? Not one of them knew what a safe dosage of fluoride was for the developing brain. Not for the fetus, not for the infant, not for the child, nor for the adult, a safe dose of fluoride. Now, that's extremely important, but the FDA is the only agency in the United States to determine the benefit of a drug. And they approve a drug when they get the right amount of benefit and the right amount of safety studies. To get a benefit on a drug, you have to have 2 randomized controlled trials, not just endorsements by different organizations, but quality research science. And so knowing that there was no randomized controlled trials and the director who was sitting right in front of me, I put up a slide on the screen in this big auditorium. And I said, at the top of the slide, you'll see all the randomized controlled trials of fluoride ingestion benefit. And a lady in the back said, I don't see anything. And the director raised his finger pointing at the slide because there was nothing. And then I said, at the bottom of the slide, you'll see all the meta-analysis of these studies. And he raised his hand up higher and pointed directly at the big screen. And I said, that's because there are none. And both his hands flew up in the air and he said, what? Because that's what's required in order to get FDA approval for fluoride ingestion. That's what was done for topical fluoride, which was approved for toothpaste, but it's never in 80 years been approved for swallowing the fluoride. Now, what we have is the toothpaste label says do not swallow, and it's referring to what would be a 1/4 milligram of fluoride in the toothpaste. That's the same amount of fluoride as in an 11-ounce glass of fluoridated water. Do not swallow should be the label. That's the same as the smallest pill that you can prescribe to your patient of fluoride, 1/4 milligram. Do not swallow. That's the FDA's position so far. Now, will they change? Well, we'll see, but it did not sound like it. I asked all the other panel members next to me, I said, do you know of a single randomized controlled trial of fluoride benefit? And they were all silent because there isn't any. There's no high quality research on safety, no high quality research on benefit. And that should end the whole seminar for the whole day. That should end the whole topic because there's no quality safety, no quality benefit, and it's based on history of, well, we think it's good. We can see it in our patients. That's what I was for 25 years, but it's not there. I would challenge you, those who want fluoridation, just ask them for the quality studies that would suffice for FDA approval for this highly toxic substance that's given without consent and is harming many. I treated the dental fluorosis. I know it's causing some harm. Thank you very much for listening.
All right, thank you, Bill. Anybody else public comment?
Yes, this is Lewis Balance. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. What was your name?
Lewis Balance. I am the gentleman who has that Amtrak resolution that is on your agenda tonight.
Okay, if you want to stand by until we come to that.
10-4, will do.
All right, thank you, sir.
I'll meet off. Thank you.
Anyone else public comment? All right, that will conclude public comment. Manager's offer of information. Anything going on today?
No, I just want to thank the public for showing up last night and giving feedback for the council. I think it was a very good showing of individuals in the community, and just appreciate the participation. It's great.
All right, very good. Thank you, Randy. Consent agenda. What's your pleasure?
Support.
We have motion and support to approve the consent agenda, which is previous minutes from 7:14, 7:16, 7:24, 7:29, and 8:4, and closed sessions on 7:14, 7:24, 7:29, and 8:4. Also includes approval of disbursements and declares 375 library books as surplus. Have a motion and support. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Monthly reports from departments. Monthly financial reports. Grant.
All right, so we are looking at item 8A. I had Kathy separate these out now to 8A, 8AI, and 8A2, or 8A1 and 8A2. And we're always just gonna be looking at the first one now when we talk about our highlighted report. And then, of course, the other reports contain the full detail for the city's financials, all funds, and your balance sheet statements as well. So we're gonna start out with the general fund as always. We had a little bit of delinquent personal property tax collections for the month. Some minor charges for services. I did want to point out there's an unclassified revenue item at the bottom of the revenue section there for $17K. Those are MERS forfeitures or rebates. So when someone leaves our MERS plan and they leave an unvested amount in the account, we get that back as a city. So that's just booking that goes back into the pool. But going through into the expense side of things, personnel services rocking it right over 300K, which is pretty Standard for us, for the general fund, equipment and supplies, that is your motor pool efforts largely that are now located in the general fund. So we see 41K for the month. You had some professional and contract services, mainly made up of your audit and your assessing. Progress payments on the audit, we'll see the final bill for that soon. And then you've got a little bit of liability insurance in there. So net revenue over expenditure year-to-date in the general fund stands at 148K, bringing us to an ending fund balance in the general fund of 891K. And on to major streets. We did receive state revenue of 56K in the major street fund for the month, and expenditures seem pretty normal. Personnel, services, and supplies, of course, making up the bulk of the expenditures in the fund. We had a pickup this month of 29K, so we are crawling out of that hole that we were in with the major streets, and we are looking at net expenditures over revenues year-to-date of 39K now, with an ending fund balance in the fund of 942K. And on to local, we received $23,000 in gas and weight tax from the state this month. Like major, personnel and equipment really drive the expenditures in this fund, and not as big of a pickup as we saw in major streets, but still now headed in a positive direction. We are a net expenditure over revenue year-to-date of 110K, with an ending fund balance of 718K in local streets. For the DDA, had about 8K in delinquent personal property tax collections. We did purchase or finally pay for the lovely flowers that are hanging out there on the streets. That's that 8K expenditure there in that line. And we can see we have a net revenue over expenditure year-to-date in the DDA fund of 173K, bringing us to an ending fund balance of 1.02 million. Not much activity in the public improvement fund. We did have some minor budgeted equipment purchases. We're looking at net revenue over expenditure year-to-date of 114K and an ending fund balance of 777K in public improvement. Our sewer fund, we picked up 167K in metered sales for the sewer fund for the month of July. Your major expenditure really is your water treatment costs. You can see they're baked into that 69K number. Pay about $65,000 a month right now for water treatment. We have a net revenue over expenditure of 6K in the fund year-to-date, and a lot of that I think is skewed by just reimbursement timing. We do have $750,000 of CWSRF proceeds that will be booked into August, so we'll see a pretty big spike in the revenue for this fund next month. We have an ending fund balance of 18.5 million in the sewer fund. And a lot of that big jump I do want to point out too in fund balance is your capitalized, your projects, which we've done so far. So we're seeing a lot of work move into an asset account called construction in progress, and that flows through to that fund balance on the bottom of the page. For the water fund, 239K in metered sales and penalties for the water fund for the month of July. You do see some grant revenue coming in here in the 1.5 million. And then for the month, as far as major expenditures, that 64K, that is your purchase of water mainly. Net revenues over expenditures year-to-date in the water fund are at 1.3 million, bringing us to an ending fund balance of 12.9 million. Garbage and recycle, not much new to talk about. We are at net revenues over expenditures year-to-date at 64K and an ending fund balance of 610K. And finally, police and fire retirement. We did have a $12,000 decline in fund balance over the month of July. Largely, that is due to a decrease in market appreciation that we saw. So in May, we picked up 190K in the market. In June, 186K, and then in July, just 13K, which didn't really keep pace with the $41,000 in pension benefits that we paid out for the month. So I guess we'll just kind of wait and see. Obviously, no one here has any control of what that number is going to do next month. So we're looking at, for police and fire retirement, net revenues over expenditures year to date of 465K and an ending fund balance of 5.6 million. Were there any questions on the highlighted funds we went over today?
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we approve the financial statement as presented.
Have a motion and support to approve the financial statement as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Could I offer some additional information related to the financial reports?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So I just wanted to let everybody know, I did touch base with American Ramp today on our project start line, which I'm sure most people have figured out has probably been delayed by now. Our new target is middle of September, so we're still very safely in 2025 for that project, but we're out an additional month from what we had planned, which is okay. I have confidence it will get done. And then the other thing that I wanted to bring up to council was that our single audit is being filed. So we filed our normal audit, but because of our receipt of federal funds over a certain threshold, we had to file an additional audit. That's getting done right now. I think Mr. Krentz is reviewing it. And then with our normal audit, we did come back with no findings or write-ups. So we had a clean year, which is really cool.
Very good, and congratulations to you and our beloved crew down there.
Yeah, it
That's
was a very
kind
good
of
team.
unheard of,
I'm stoked.
at least
on it.
in modern times.
Yeah,
First one since I've been on council, so congratulations.
thank you. We have a really good team down there. It was a big effort on everybody's part. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much, Grant. DPW update, William.
The biggest one is going to be that 8th edition will be completed and open by Friday night. They wanted to delay a little bit just so that we could get the shoulders done and also get all the street striping done. But they're going to work their butt off to try and get it open by Friday night. The chips and border for the Alcohol Park playground, that should be here in about 3 weeks. So once that gets here, we'll get that done. Surplus equipment that you guys have all voted on in previous meetings, all of that equipment is going to auction. The auction actually starts this coming up Monday. It's an online auction, so they take care of everything. The people that buying the equipment, they're allowed to come and look at the equipment, and they also have to load it and get rid of it themselves. So it's, other than our mechanics getting everything ready, all the decals off and all that, it should be pretty painless for us. We're renting a shoulder machine, trying it out for our loader to do some of the sides of the roads. That'll be here in about 4 weeks, and we're gonna rent it for 2 weeks, see how many roads we can get done. There's an option to buy that particular machine because it's used at almost, I think it's like 50% off. If it
I was just gonna ask him to explain that. Use Mountain Road as the example.
So it's basically a box that goes on the front of the loader. It's hydraulically driven. The dump truck backs up, puts it in his transmission in neutral. The box has rollers on the front of it. He lifts his box, and as the rocks fall into the box, the loader is actually pushing the truck, and then there's a conveyor that shoots it out to the side, and it puts it at the right depth, angle, however you want to do it. And then right behind that is going to be a roller that compacts everything. Right now, the way that we do it is they run to the laydown yard, they get a bucket of gravel, they go out to the road, they dump it, a bunch of guys spread it out, and then they roll it. Very time consuming and complete waste of resources.
How much is this gonna potentially cost?
We'll let you know once we get everything done. Stay tuned.
The key, again, is something that we're doing thanks to our staff. Mountain Road is, the reason I said use Mountain Road is that it's spider cracking, or what do you, alligator cracking. And it's from four-wheelers coming on and off, or maybe trucks. And this will help us to save a lot of our roads from deteriorating that way. So It's a great find by Bill and his crew, and it's gonna save us a lot of manpower, but it's also hopefully gonna make our roads last longer.
Well, as long as it's not too much, I support.
Any questions for Bill?
I still
Other
got a couple
questions?
more. I met with MDOT 2 days ago. They're coming up with a plan to fix the couple speed bump culvert problems that we're having out on County Road. It's probably gonna be stuff that, for this year, the city crew is gonna actually do the work. And it's just gonna be a Band-Aid, and then they're gonna hire a contractor to come in and lower or put the diameter smaller so that the frost doesn't heave these that much. And then finally, there will be an RFP going out, hopefully within this week, for the city hall boilers. And I hope to have that back to you for the next council meeting so that we can start getting that work done. Fired them up this week and the basement is flooded again. So it's kind of getting to be an emergency more than anything. And other than that, tons of construction as usual.
Thank you, Bill. Any questions for Bill? All right. Thank you again, sir. Public hearing was removed. Any unfinished business? That's what it says, none. New business, presentation from LSCP. Is Chris online with us?
Hey guys, yep, I'm here. I'm gonna stay off camera because I only have 2 bars of reception, but I'm here. So it's just he's pulling up that presentation there. So I know you guys have a pretty big agenda tonight, but we were time for our quarterly updates, and so you should have in your packets as well a copy of a presentation. I won't walk you all the way through that, but I just wanted you all to have that graphic representation and some of that background around the contract, just because I know there's been some questions around it, just so you're all armed with information as council members. But Jason, if you can just go to the next slide for us. I do want to just kind of talk about that history of the contract really quick, and then I'll jump into my updates. As most of you should remember, the contract has been in place for a little over 3 years now, established in 2022 after with both of our predecessors, Randy's predecessor and my predecessor, working on that contract to build a new capacity building partnership between our organizations. What's really unique about our contract, I know I've said this before, but it's more than just a typical government professional services contract. Most local governments make an investment in their EDO and they get general support, where they kind of invest in the EDO's mission, the economic development organization's mission, and that's what they get back. In this particular case, we found a way to do both capacity building through a partnership with this contract, but also provide specific priorities for the city and specific labor priorities for the city as well, so we can be flexible with the contract throughout. Jason, if you'll go to the next slide, I'm definitely not going to walk you through all of these because it's only a partial history, but I do think it's kind of important to point out a couple of the highlights on there. Again, starting in 2022, we know the first year the contract was, some communications issues and things like that. When we came in the second year, it did not increase the cost of the contract, but actually added more to the contract. Started to see some pretty big wins, including the State of the City event that year, as well as we had some turnover at the LSCP in terms of staffing that was actually able to be covered. So if the city had had a community or economic development person, things just would have stalled until the city was able to hire someone. But we at the LSCP had a whole team in place who were able to cover that gap until we got a new person in place. In 24, we changed the contract quite a bit, moved away from selecting 3 or 4 priorities at the beginning of the year and then changing those randomly throughout the year at the feedback of the city, and instead moved to choosing some priorities and then doing those labor buckets, which I think was very helpful. But then in 2025, we changed it even more and streamlined those buckets, changed some of those priorities. All throughout that, the direct cost of the contract has actually remained the same for over 3 years, with a minor increase this year really to account for new investments. The actual cost of the labor piece of the contract went down this year. So we're really proud of being able to do that. And then throughout that entire process, the contract, of course, many of you are familiar with the significant expansion of LSCP services on the West End. And I really just want to reiterate that the partnership that we have with the city through that is actually what really enabled us to be ready to just run with those when that need came about. So the fact that you're seeing more events in the West End, the West End Economic Hub, the fact that you're seeing your RC Essentials and a small business celebration, the expanded business development support, that all really ties back to this contract with the city in particular, giving us the capacity building that we needed to then build not only on that contract, but our overall West End initiatives going forward. Jason, can you go to the next presentation or slide for me? This is the contract as it looks this year, just a really quick refresher for you. So you have a direct investment in the West End Economic Hub. So the city gets access to that hub, and most importantly, it supports the work that's being done out of there, which is a really innovative front-facing office. Kind of obviously came out of the unfortunate situation with the GINCC in 2023, but we did that through a shared vision with the GINCC board of directors. The city also has a direct membership in the LSCP, which was new just because of our governance structure, the LSCP changing. So the city actually has voting power for our board of directors and things like that, which it previously didn't have in other contracts. The rest of the contract, though, is those direct economic development goals and labor hours. So you see there on the left side, there's the core activities around RRC and the quarterly workshops, the state of the city, access to the Ishpeming marketing team, and then the Ishpeming specific business retention expansion visits. And there's a whole list of on-demand stuff. So that's the flexible piece of the contract. So something comes up in the city, Randy can give us a call and say, hey, I need a little bit of extra help, some research, some policy development. We just need some people to go knock on doors and find out how the business community is feeling about this. We can do all of that under this contract. Jason, go to the next slide for me. I'll kind of jump into really where we stand this year and some more of the quarterly update piece of it. So redevelopment ready communities, I know many of you are excited about this. You have that essential status. I know Elena is here from CIB or OHM now, and Rachel is in the audience as well. So they'll talk about where that rebranding project is, but that's the last big piece of RRC for you. And so we've been working with MEDC all along to make sure that once that was done, you'd be ready to roll for full certification. So we're feeling really optimistic that as long as the rebranding rollout works well, that you'll be in good shape. They'll be certified yet this year, at least through the MEDC process, even if we can't technically celebrate to next year, but you better believe we're gonna try to celebrate this year for you guys. The state of the city is one of those other core activities. We've set a date, it's October 30th. We're also working to make that a community open house as well. So it'll be more than just comments on what's happening in the city, but it'll be an opportunity for residents to engage with city officials and department heads, and also engage in part of the strategic planning effort that we'll talk about here in a minute. We also have our quarterly workshops goal on there. We were said to do one per quarter. We've actually already exceeded those numbers for the year, and we have more coming on board. The big part of that is because we took the minimums in our agreement and then we pursued other grant funding so we could really do even more of those going forward. So we're pretty proud of what's happened there. The business retention expansion visits as well. We had set a goal of 80 throughout the year. We were already at 59 as of June 30th. So we highly expect to break those goals as well. That has a lot to do with the fact that we're expanding other LSCP services in the West End. So there's a lot more natural touch points with businesses. We go in there and we ask, how are things going? What are your biggest challenges? What are your opportunities? What resources can we put in your hands to help your business grow? Or if you're in danger of leaving, to help you stay. So we work on those things. And then the marketing support is primarily flyers and graphic design. We don't count the flyers that we do for the other stuff under the contract, but it's the things that the city specifically needs that other city staff are working on. So the facade grants and the startup grants or informational flyers, things like that. That's what gets counted in that quota right there. Jason, if you go to the next slide for me. Then there's the flexible side of the contract. So that's that bucket of hours. Right now, we've got about 5 main things we're really working on. Council strategic plan that I'll talk about here in a minute, but that was a request of Randy as we're working with MSU Extension as a third-party facilitator. We even asked them to manage the actual project, and we're including all of those hours inside this existing contract. So there's no additional cost to the city. Batch on Main has been another really big one for us this year. I think we're all disappointed that the application wasn't successful this year. I've asked MEDC for more specific feedback as to why that was. The only thing I've gotten to date is that they had a record-breaking number of applications. It was just a much, much harder pool this year. So we're going to take what we can learn from that. We are still working with 2024's recipient. We were just in communication with them the other day. So they're about to wrap up their grant. So we'll have extra capacity next year to be extra aggressive with that grant program. The 3 other things that have come up lately that we're now working on. Number 1 is a business online audit. So our team is going through and looking at Google and Yelp and other places people would typically look for business information and comparing that for Ishpeming businesses to what's available for them online. So we can then provide that information back to the businesses and say, hey, you might be missing, right? People who are looking for these things online and your profile is not complete, so we can help you complete that profile. So the plan is to be able to go through that, hit every business in Ishpeming once a year at the very least, so we can continually keep that up to date. We're also working on a welcome packet for new businesses. So that's in the early stages, but we know that's come up in DDA meetings in specific. So we're working on that. And we're also working on investing in Ishpeming webpage as well. So succession plannings or businesses that are for sale or tools people can use to develop, those will all be in one place that people can understand that there's a lot of momentum in Ishpeming. Now you have one place to go to really find that information going forward. Jason, if you can go to the next slide for me. Sorry, guys, I don't know why I'm so out of breath. So the talking really fast, I guess. The strategic plan, I just wanted to share with you. We'll have a deeper conversation at the work session and whatnot, but we've split it into 3 phases for you. And the whole purpose of the strategic plan is to give you some guidance to let you as council decide we have all of these various plans and all these focus areas and all these things we want to do. What are the real priorities for us, right? What direction do we really want to go as a city? So phase 1 has been information gathering. Our team has already been analyzing your existing plans and finding those common focus areas and those action items. There'll also be a survey that hopefully will be released on Friday, but it might be next week. That'll go to you all as council members, as well as a public version of that survey. It'll ask some really simple questions, like here are the current focus areas. What are we missing? What else needs to be on here? What do you think are the strengths and opportunities for the city? What are the challenges? We'll then compile all of that to a council work session, hopefully at the end of September. So stay tuned on that day. And then we'll move into phase 2, which will actually be drafting the strategic plan. The big highlight of that will be that October 30th State of the City and Community Open House, where the public will also get a chance to look at what we proposed, or really what you as council have proposed as your strategic plan and the actions you really want to work on. And then we will manage finalizing that plan, a public comment period, and aiming for approval in December at a council meeting so you can start 2026 with a fresh strategic plan. We are, as I mentioned, bringing in MSU Extension as a third-party facilitator. There's a very minor cost to that. It's about $1,500 in total for them to facilitate multiple sessions. And so we are managing that contract, and we'll bill that back to the city just at cost. So there'll be no admin up for us. Jason, I'm gonna go to the next one. I'm gonna kind of rapid fire through these next few here. Just a bunch of other things that we want you to be aware of. Number 1 is this is the list of ribbon cuttings that we've done so far in the West End. It has still been a pretty busy year for us going forward. You see the list at the bottom of 2024. That was a record-breaking year for us. We know economies in general have slowed down a little bit, but we're still seeing a lot of people reach out to us to do ribbon cuttings for anniversaries, major milestones, and of course, a lot of business openings as well. So the picture is actually really cool. If you haven't been in the West End Economic Hub, we've started a wall of ribbon cuttings for all the West End ribbon cuttings that we've done since the West End Economic Hub opened a year ago. So we're pretty cool, pretty proud, I should say, that there's that many just within the last year. And I know we're still missing some folks who are opening without ribbon cuttings. So if you're aware of businesses that are opening, please send them our way. We want to do a whole bunch of those. We really love doing them. They're a really great way to grow momentum for the community and just really get some great press for our new business in the area. Jason, if you'll keep going for me, man. Breakfast and business. I think a number of you were at the May session, the State of the West End. We had so many people show up, we had to roll in extra tables and chairs. And so that was a really great problem to have. So we're really proud that that's the first time we've done breakfast and business in the West End. The next one will actually be in September, and it'll also be in the West End. We're going to focus on outdoor recreation. So we'll have folks come in to talk about the efforts underway to grow the outdoor recreational economy, but I think even more importantly, the ways that our business community can tap into those efforts and grow along with it, create new prosperity for our communities. So you can register for that now if you want. The city as an LSCP member means anyone who comes on behalf of the city gets that LSCP member pricing, which is only $25, for a full hot breakfast. And basically 2 hours if you show up early on time in terms of networking and information. So it's a pretty good deal. Business after hours, I know it's been a little slower on the West End so far this year. That's just kind of how our calendar worked out. You may remember last year when we opened the West End Economic Hub, we actually created a couple of special dates in our business after hour calendar specifically for West End businesses and organizations. In 2025, we opened up the full calendar, trying to spread things out geographically. There was a lot of trading of dates and some switching. And so it just ended up that a lot of the West End ones ended up in the second half of the year. But we are definitely expecting to see several of those yet this fall. Yes, we keep going for me, man. The West End Economic Hub celebrates 1 year of operation this week. So that was a huge undertaking for us. You know, the LCP taking on a second set of rents and utilities and hiring a full-time staff person based in the West End. We're really proud of the progress that's been made on that so far. There's a lot more left to do. We have a dedicated West End strategy, and we're just getting implemented. We're just getting started in terms of implementing that. And we'll be updating it again this fall to count for 2026. So we are also in the middle of hiring a replacement for our West End individual. Many of you knew Lauren. She got married and has decided to take some personal time off. And so we are looking for a different person to fill that role. So we're doing interviews right now, but the position is still open. So if you know anyone who'd be a good fit for that, you can actually send them to our website under the career section, and they can apply for that position. And then we also have the small business celebration for 2025 coming up on November 6th. So that will be at the Mather again. More information will be coming out on that really shortly, but we will be doing the awards again. It'll be a really similar event to last year, which had over 100 folks show up. So we're pretty excited about that as an opportunity to highlight the West End. While it's a countywide initiative, everyone descends upon Ishpeming to celebrate the small businesses. So we're pretty excited. Jason, keep going for me. The Small Business Support Hub itself, so different from the West End Economic Hub, the Support Hub is most commonly known for the direct grant program. We just announced the third round of grants, which have put about 20,000, don't quote me on the exact number, into the hands of local businesses across 7 counties at this stage. We have one more round of direct grants coming this fall, and then another 9 months still of the hub actually existing. Most of the work of the hub is that one-on-one technical assistance. So it's sitting down with businesses, helping connect them to other grants, helping them with business planning, helping them with marketing. So there's a lot of work happening. I don't expect the state to renew that grant. There's just simply not any money in the state budget for it. But we do feel very confident that if there's even a small pot of money for that, that we'd be really competitive for that, because we are consistently in the top 5 hubs across the state, despite being in the UP. So we take that as a huge source of pride that our large geographic area, we're beating a lot of other big urbanized areas. So we're pretty excited about that. The West End Passport Initiative, many of you have also seen that, will end the pilot here in about 2 weeks. It has admittedly not been as successful as we had hoped. I think there were some challenges. Lauren visited over 50 businesses in person to talk them through it. I think timing maybe just wasn't super great. We've also heard some feedback that maybe a paper passport would help. So I think we're open to that kind of feedback. We'll do another pilot that'll become countywide later around the shopping season later this year that encourage folks to shop local and small. So more to come on that end. Jason, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 more slides here. The West End Business Happenings page was launched in May. So that was another project of Lauren's. We heard a lot from folks. They missed the GINCC page. Unfortunately, that page was deleted in the transition and there was no recovering that page. So we had to try to rebuild it from scratch. So if you're not already on this page, we'd love if you would go and you would like it and you'd share it with your network so we can start to see some of that organic growth going forward. And then there's 2 others on here. Number 1, we're in conversations with city staff and I think the DDA to talk about the DDA liaison position and if there makes sense to amend our contract to incorporate that. So I don't know the answer to that yet, but we have put together a proposal for them. And then of course, the revitalization and placemaking grant, the RAP grant, over $250,000 was awarded towards the Anderson Buildings revitalization. So we were really honored to work with a land bank authority on that project in particular. Overall, $553,000 came to Marquette County through LSCP, which dedicated the staff time to write the grants and manage the grants. Again, that's unfortunately a program that I think that was probably our last shot at it, just because the state budget no longer has RAP in it going forward. Jason, keep going for me. I think I got a events page. Oh, a couple of others here. Sorry. Childcare efforts. Many of you are aware of the UP Childcare Coalition efforts. So the LSCP has been actively involved in that. We are hopeful that those will continue, but again, those are state funding. And right now there is no state budget. And it sounds like the likelihood of a shutdown seems to be increasing every single day. So we are going to continue to do the best we can with that coalition, but that has allowed folks to learn more about TriShare, to expand Childcare Spark to support others. Also to do a lot of technical assistance for existing childcare businesses as well. Air service efforts are also going really well. We've seen a more than 10% increase in passenger traffic out of Sawyer with the addition of the Minneapolis flight. We've seen some stabilization of prices, although the Detroit flight still seems to be a little all over the place. Our next goal is to aim to get a second Detroit flight that we hope will stabilize that, and also talk to another airline about potentially maybe not doing daily service, but some sort of regular service as well. I think this is taking on critical importance. As many of you know, Marquette Sawyer is the only commercial airport in the Upper Peninsula that does not get federal subsidy funding to operate. So the other 5 get a total of about $37 million annually to make sure their planes fly even if they're empty. We don't get that, and we're never going to get that the way the program's written. And so, but the program is now under threat in DC. And so there's a big proposal to significantly reform that program and cut it back. So we really need to make sure that our airport can stand on its own in case it needs to absorb flights from other regional airports if that does indeed come to pass at the federal level. And then Housing Now is another initiative I think hopefully many of you are familiar with. We are seeing a lot of housing development in the West End in particular. The land prices, building prices are a little more reasonable as well. And so we're seeing developers look in the West End as people get pushed out of the city of Marquette. We, of course, build housing all over the county, or we encourage, I should say, we don't build housing ourselves, but we work with developers to build housing all over the county. Our latest numbers are somewhere between 600 and 700 units that we're tracking right now, with a lot more in the early stages of the pipelines that don't have numbers attached to them yet. To keep going, Jason, I think this is the LSCP team. Many of you have seen them. I just kind of wanted to reiterate with a contract that I know many of you are familiar with Rachel as your direct representative of this contract, and myself when I come to these meetings. But every single member of our team works on the Ishpeming partnership in some way or another, whether it's admin support or marketing support, meeting with businesses, working on planning and zoning issues. So you don't have just one person working on it, you have 12 folks working on it. So I really think that's important to kind of push home. I know so you see that coming soon, folks, that slide where we'll have a West End person in place, we're hoping. And I think there's just the event slide is next, Jason, I believe. So I mentioned most of these already, but just so you're familiar, housing update on October 3rd, that's coming up. That's going to talk about Housing Now and all that giant pipeline of housing projects that I just talked about or mentioned. So you'll get more information. We have a statewide housing speaker coming up. We'll have developers speak and other folks who are working on housing issues. So that should be open for registration shortly. The city also received invites to what we call P3 MQT. It is the first ever Marquette County local economic development exchange. So it's just dedicated to issues in Marquette County. We get a lot of regional conversations here and it's great, but sometimes we don't get a chance to just talk about our own unique challenges here. So we're going to be able to do that. The city, I believe, has 3 seats available to it. We can always make one more if we need to. But I encourage you, Randy should have gotten that invite, and we encourage local officials to join us as well. So those of you on council, if you're available, we'd love to see 1 or 2 of you join us as well as Randy from the staff or other members as well. And then the small business celebration, which I mentioned, is on November 6th in the West End. You also see that business after hours there, the breakfast and business one's coming up, and then the workshops and programs there in the lower right as well. So a huge, pretty big, this is huge. It's a pretty big schedule still coming up in the fall. We've been planning all summer for the fall. We're starting to plan for 2026 already. But the message I really want you to leave today with is that we're always looking forward in terms of this partnership and this agreement. We have more bandwidth. So if you have additional ideas that could support the business community or that you'd like us to research for community development tools or economic development tools, we're here to help you do that. So the way the contract's written, we encourage you to work through Randy so that we have one definitive authority in terms of where we're getting our orders from with the contract. But if you want to talk through those ideas, you're more than welcome to just shoot me a text or give me a call or send me an email. We're happy to discuss those. But this contract works because we have a good relationship and we've spent a lot of time building our relationship with the city. So we're really appreciative of everything you all do. We hope that you're still really proud of this contract. And I think it's really important again to know with this contract that you've also built our capacity at the LSCP. So this is a mutually beneficial partnership. And I just can't. So with that, I'm gonna take a breather, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Just a comment.
Go ahead.
I mean, really, Chris, thank you. Since day one, you guys have been really good for the city. Stepped out on a limb to support you guys, and I don't regret it one bit. I actually would love to see us work together more to benefit the businesses and residents.
All right,
I appreciate that. I always do.
Anybody else, questions, comments? All right, thank you, Christopher.
Thanks, Pat. I appreciate it, guys. Have a good rest of your night. We're gonna hop in the car. We're still 2 hours from home. So,
Thank you.
Yep. See you guys.
All right, now we're going to talk about our rebranding. And who's gonna head that up?
Rachel, are you walking through that? Only thing I want to point out is on the handout, the brand standard on page 2, the Ishpeming brand promise, that's actually not the final version. We tweaked that, so apologize for that, but that was wrong. Put in the presentation wrong, so we'll get you the updated version of that for sure.
Yeah, like Christopher had mentioned, rebranding is a big essential part of the RRC to be fully certified. So we have Elena, who we've been working with from the
Rachel, you probably have to move the mic a little closer.
Yeah,
That-
talk a little
it's not the
louder,
best,
one of the
yeah.
two.
Whenever you are ready, Elena.
She's muted.
She looks unmuted.
Elena, can you hear us?
Oh, I can hear you now. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, my apologies. I was also having some unstable internet connection issues, so I will try my best. If there's a need to have me repeat something, just interrupt me and let me know, please. So yeah, I can go ahead and go through this presentation. I believe you can probably see the screen share here that should say project purpose at the top. Thumbs up. Okay. Great. Yeah, so thank you for having me this evening. I am working on the rebranding initiative with our steering committee and the city, and wanted to give a little bit of a background first and foremost, just in case there are people here unfamiliar with it. But I think Christopher did a pretty good job, at least overviewing with the RRC program, what we're going to be and what we have been going into with regard to this project specifically. So I wanted to also reiterate some of the key goals for this project. I think that would help clarify a little bit of what we're doing and what we have been doing for some time now. So we are looking to develop a powerful visual community brand that aligns with the city's existing identity. And this project aims to position Ishpeming as a regional and state leader for various opportunities, including outdoor activities, business prospects, and housing opportunities. I did want to back up slightly, though, before I move forward and acknowledge our steering committee members. These folks listed here have been instrumental in guiding and leading this project. They have attended all the meetings, given really insightful feedback, really strong opinions, and very helpful opinions when it comes to all of the elements that are involved with a project of this type. So moving forward, and also, I believe you should have, like you said, that Randy said you should have this in your packet. Apologies if that brand promise was outdated. I believe I do have the latest one in this file, but I will make sure you guys receive that. But before I go into that, I did want to just cover a little bit of information as to the desired brand qualities that we're seeking as we go through this process. At the top of the list, authenticity, community identity and pride, consistency, community and economic development promotion, and flexibility as well. These were actually identified by some folks within the city during the RFP process, and I wanted to just kind of reiterate that so you can see the importance of those elements. Moving through, I wanted to also outline a little bit about our approach and methodology, so you have a really good idea before we show you guys what you're going to be kind of giving some advice on, or at least some support toward how we got to that point. It takes some public engagement. It takes some, community engagement from our steering committee and some feedback, starting with our SOAR analysis. You may have heard of a SWOT analysis. This is a little different where we're focused on strengths, opportunities, assets, and results. That we went through during our kickoff meeting in person to really help us uncover and identify the existing city brand. And a lot of the information that came from that is included here in your packet. I'm not going to go through all of that right now. I think you can probably read through that. It's things that you are familiar with, I'm sure, as community members. So here's the list. I'm just going to scroll through that. And the additional input and research that we put into it, we did have some stakeholder interviews. I also did a 2-day immersive experience there and spent some time within the city walking around, taking a lot of photos, videos, etc. Mainly so I could get a feel for the community and send that information back to our home team so they have a good idea of what we're working with. We also launched a public community survey in the fall of 2024. That is when we were able to pull out some of the information about the community's identity, what was important to community members, personality traits, so to speak, historical and cultural identity, what it was about the outdoor and natural appeal that attracted folks to this area, residents and visitors alike. Community and small town charm was obviously something that people saw as a major strength and personality aspect of Ishpeming. And of course, the uniqueness and quirkiness of the town and the community members, which I appreciated as well. And then the pride and local achievements are listed here. That's also important to take note of, and that's unique about the community. So here we are. This is the visual brand that was created by our development team. Just a few notes that I would like to point out about this. As you can see, some of the colors here, you may be familiar with, of course, Jasper Knob. Those were inspired by Jasper Knob. And the iron color of the word Ishpeming, of course, harkens back to the iron ore. And it's, I think it's a good color scheme, complementary colors here. The main feature of this in the middle is the iconic Cliffs Shaft Mining Museum, featured much like it is in the center of Ishpeming. It is featured here in this visual brand. The iron pickaxes at the bottom will provide a little bit of symmetry, but also it gives a nod to the history of the mining economy there. And then the trail and trees, obviously, those demonstrate and communicate the recreational appeal of the community, especially that white trail. Obviously that could be snow, but it's also a good pop out of color to really bring that trail through. So we, as a team, as a steering committee, really all when we were looking at different concepts, I could really tell a shift in the room when we came to this one. It was kind of like, oh, here it is. So it was a very strong feeling for most folks. We didn't have many splits on it. Of course, there were some little tweaks here and there, but this is the visual brand that we came up with for the city of Ishpeming. And I wanted to just kind of stroll through this really quickly. You guys can probably go through this on your own, but I wanted to identify what we did so that you have sort of a training manual, so to speak, with this branding guidelines to understand a little bit more about how and why and where it should be used, including this, available file types that we will provide you. And then, of course, this brand promise. So I'm not going to read the whole thing this evening. It takes some time, though, if you haven't already, to read through this. This was generated by a few folks and tweaked a few times, but the brand promise really is rooted in community, fueled by adventure. So this full story kind of goes into sort of the essence, or tries to at least identify the essence of Ishpeming and the feelings that are evoked when visiting this area. And then the next few slides here, I just wanted to identify, this is a typical brand guideline. So it's just a little, a couple little things to show what it looks like in the one color and then the reverse. And then this word mark is also kind of an element that can be used in positions that do not allow or that make more sense to have just the word mark instead of the full logo with the circle. So I wanted to just show you those. And then there's some instructions on hierarchy. And then we have, of course, this brand color palette that will assist you when creating materials, whether they be on print or online, and all of the colors that can flow through and kind of help that brand remain consistent throughout materials. Some fonts here that we recommend and suggest for use. And then some stationery showing the business card options and other stationery, really sort of driving home this brand here. We also put together some social media ideas, or just little tiles as they're called, using this rooted in community, fueled by adventure brand promise. Some photos you may recognize, some photos are stock photos, but we also put together some digital display and outdoor billboards to show what those could look like when and if you get to that point for billboards and outdoor display. The other thing I wanted to hit on too is the iconography that we provide. This is kind of a unique and interesting way to think about it, but it really does provide some consistency with that brand, the visual brand, because these are all consistent with each other. But these are nice ways to, and nice, illustrations to use online and in print, even from a signage perspective, as we're thinking about signage. And this, can, provide some guidance, on the website or in those materials to quickly identify the elements and assets that the community has and wants to drive attention to. And as I say, one of the things I mentioned was wayfinding and gateway signage. That is the next phase of this project, is suggestions for gateway signage and strategies along those lines. And that is why we wanted to kind of get in front of you guys today, so that we can get some support behind the logo itself before moving into a phase 2 of the wayfinding and gateway design process, so we're not backtracking if needed. So we wanted to just kind of get that information in front of you. We don't necessarily need to make any decisions today, but wanted to see what you thought of that. Ask any questions if you want, if you need, and walk through that. The next section here, just so you know too, is this is the suggested brand rollout strategy. So it provides recommendations on how to roll this brand out, visual brand and brand promise. So that's that final section here in this packet. The other aspect that will be provided to you is a marketing strategy, and that is in draft form at this point. I've got a couple of things to finish up with that and refine, but that's also going to be provided within this initiative and project. Any questions?
I guess I just wanted to point out Grant was on the steering committee too. His name's not on the front. But... Right, Grant? If you love it, Grant was all in.
Any questions, council?
No, it's exciting.
All right, I think we're good. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
What's your pleasure?
I wouldn't mind seeing one alteration.
What's that?
Lay it out there.
The color, the red color, I like to see more of a rust color and just kind of do a comparison. With the red and the green, I get more Christmas vibes. I think the rust color would be more like the iron oxide, like iron ore.
And I guess I still would like to see some nod on the logo to skiing.
Noted.
Yeah, I mean, it's great, but, since 1887, we've had the Ishpeming Ski Club, and we're the birthplace of skiing in the United States. Yeah, I know, on an icon library, but I'm talking on the logo.
That's what so the way that she was explaining it is you can interchange Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but see these big
Yeah, I
X's?
understand
That's what she's
that.
talking about, with the skis or.
I understand that, but I would, on the logo face itself, I just think it would be nice to see some type of nod to the skiing in there. I don't hate the orange, but I wouldn't mind seeing more iron color. Iron or.
So do you guys want to rework it a little touch and bring it back?
Yeah, and I think what we could do is we did have actually some of that same feedback to look and identify the pickaxe versus the skis. And we can show that concept, what it looks like with those skis instead of where the pickaxes are. That's what we would do to do more of the nod to the skiing. And then we can improve the color, or at least, make it slightly more rust. And when I hear rust, I just want to make sure we're looking at a little bit more red versus a little bit more orange. Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Like a red brown.
Maybe they can send you a Pantone color.
Sure,
And-
that would be even better.
And for me, I would like to see, because we already have mining on there, I guess for our everyday logo usage, I'd like there to be some skis incorporated. I just think that that's a huge part of our history and heritage and our future.
All right, we'll look for information from the steering committee to come back. And thank you very much for the presentation. It's an awful lot of work. It looks good.
It does.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you. Did Rachel have anything else? All right, our next presentation is the Waterworth Utility Rate Management.
Before Paul gives, he's gonna give a little background, okay? So Grant and I have been talking about this for, since I've been here. We really want to do long-term planning. I mean, that's a huge part of one of the things I wanted to bring to the city. And I came across this presentation with Paul and really thought it was something to look at. So I brought Grant in and we went through the presentation, and it's something that we think he'll go through the presentation and explain it, but we really think it's good for short-term and long-term planning, and we feel the cost is very reasonable. So is Paul on? Should be on.
Yep, I've just beamed in here. Thanks.
All right, perfect.
Thanks, Randy, and thanks, Grant. I've met with both Randy and Grant a few times over the last few months, just putting together exactly where the community's at and exactly how we can help. So I'm here to basically, show what Waterworth is and why it makes sense for the community here. The big pieces here, supporting that long-term strategic plan. That in-depth analysis of the utility rates for water and sewer to really find the most fair and equitable rates, and also support that communication factor in terms of being able to demonstrate that visually. What I'm going to do is I'll go into a little bit of detail about Waterworth is. I'll also show you some aspects of our platform so you guys can have a peek into how we do what we do. And I'll keep this tight and efficient with your time. I know you guys have a busy schedule tonight. So how does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Now I'll just start by sharing my screen here. And I will just show the package that we put together. So this is continuous utility rate management. The beauty of this is, our background, our founder was a rate consultant for a lot of years, 20 plus. And he had this issue where, you do a rate study for a community, and then after, 6 months to a year, a lot of those numbers become outdated, right? So things change in the community between costs, timelines, inflation, the whole 9 yards that we see these days. So we developed this platform to basically keep everything up to date, turn into a living, breathing rate study, and support really long-term financial planning as well as the short-term. And our mission is really empowering financially sustainable local government services and winning back the public trust, being able to demonstrate that visually so the public can understand where we're at as well, and as well as being able to demonstrate that at council meetings like this. So, a couple of the goals that we're focused on, really ensuring those services are priced equitably between customer classes and exploring cost allocation scenarios, ensuring comprehensive long-term planning is guided by the most up-to-date data and scenario exploration, and then visually presenting that visual data recommendations supported by our professional team. We have a lot of experience across Michigan and across the country. We work with about 350 communities right now in doing just this, planning out these utility rates and providing financial sustainability for these utilities, as well as helping justify those needs. Now, we need to ensure that revenue from utility rates actually meets revenue requirements and also protect that customer affordability, which is so important. We're going to maintain good communication between staff, the council, and the public, and we're going to maintain those robust reserve funds for contingencies, both on the operating and capital sides there. This is a little piece on what utility rate management is. And some of our key features that we'll be implementing in the community here, long-term financial model, which I'll be going into, but it's basically developing a full cost recovery model. So we make sure that we're aiming towards full cost recovery for water and sewer. I mean, ideally they're operating like enterprise funds, right? And then we're integrating that 6-year CIP that we have as a plan here in the community, as well as that long-term strategic plan. Now, future capital reinvestment budgeting, along with debt service scenarios, right? So we're keeping everything in mind, as well as reserve policies. And then our cost of service analysis will actually be reviewing historical demand patterns and working towards a true cost of service model, so we can actually tell exactly how much it costs to deliver each area of your system. Some are more than others, right? And then rate design will be going through that billing data. I know now we've implemented smart meters. We have a lot of good data we can pull from this. Analyze your current rate structure and model new rate structure options, right? So we can really visualize the billing impacts here. Look at various options. So all of you, when you're making decisions as leaders of the community, you're going off the best data. You know, you're not just making assumptions. You're really going off hard facts here. And then scenario exploration is how we'll be doing that as well. And I'll show you some examples quick here as we go along. Now, a couple benefits as well. It's just saves time and aggravation, leverages data so you can make those better decisions, and ensures that long-term financial sustainability. And then it comes with professional support and advising. So that's another really attractive thing on the price point that we come in at is it comes with unlimited professional support for the staff to be able to delegate some of that legwork right onto our team. So I'll dive into the model here and get into the good stuff. What we're looking at here is basically a cash flow pro forma. So this is a water enterprise fund that we're looking at. Now we break it down. We can build it back up. So I'll just show you the different components. Are you guys able to see the visuals on the screen here?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we're okay.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. Okay, so just to give you a quick kind of snapshot on how this works. This would be your enterprise fund, right? So we could break it down into all its component parts. So you can see how for water and sewer, how your expenses and your revenues are lining up together over the long term. So in this case, we're looking at 2021 as a start date. So we use a few years of historical actuals, and then it's projected out to 2035 in this case. Now we can very easily do 20, 30 years. Our max is 80 years. So we can absolutely handle that comprehensive strategic plan. And then you'd add on your current debt service, your proposed debt service, as well as capital improvements, capital expansion here in the green. So these would be your capital projects, these different peaks and valleys as you're completing your different projects. And so there's all your revenue requirements, right? That's all your expenses for sewer in this case. Now, I'm going to build up our revenues on the other end of things here. So this is the sale of water service of every year. And then we can add other operating revenue, non-operating revenue. So like sale of assets, late fees, that sort of thing. Add in developer contributions, your impact fees, borrowed funds, as well as grants. And then now as we're comparing that to expenses, we can build our expenses back in the background here, and we can see how it all stacks up, right? We can see that, our vertical revenue lines are meeting up with our expense lines very well until about 2027. We have a funding gap, and we have a funding gap continuing with time. So now this gives us some insight into exactly how our cash position might be doing, right? We have a funding gap. So when we put on our cash position, we can see cash position in the black. It's not doing so well because of our funding, right? So as we put our operating threshold on the red, gives us a good idea of kind of the health of the community there financially. So just to give you a quick peek there, there's different ways that you'll want to attack this, right? One of them being maybe delay a project. So this is where your CIP would live. This is an isolated look at your CIP, all your different capital projects here. You could look at it. Here's your cash position. We have each project lined up, and what's affecting our cash position negatively here is really this project here. It's a pipeline project listed $3 million in 2027. We can set our inflation rate for the towns, and we can see as we change this, we can actually say, let's move this project a little bit to try and help that cash position. However, we can see exactly with the inflation rate that we're at, exactly how much that project, now it's changed from a $3 million to a $4.5 million project, right? So our cash position's looking good in the short term, not doing so well in the long term. Still have X number of projects complete. And it's more expensive for the community. So it makes us think of these options, right? It shows us the cost of inaction of delaying some of these projects, right? They're out of sight, out of mind nature, and sometimes it's easy to delay them, but it puts us in a hard position in the long run. Now, I'd like to show you another angle that we can take here. So this supports that long-term rate forecasting. Now, when we're looking at rates, you want to know exactly what impact it's going to have, right? So this cash position that's going down in 2028, we might want to look at an increase, right? So we could go, all right, let's try in 2028, let's do a rate adjustment there when it's actually crossing our operating threshold, right? What it costs to keep the lights on for our utility. Now, if we look at that, let's try something substantial like an 11% increase. That's not even going to cut it there, right? So we'll need something a little bit more significant. Let's try a 22% increase. That'll do it, but you guys know as well as anybody, that's rate shock on our residents. You don't want the pitchforks coming out at this council meetings there. So, I mean, what we want to do here is really, we can take a more proactive approach, and we can look at rate adjustments starting in 2026. Go out a 7%, maybe a 5% and another 5% and threes going out. And now we've been able to balance our cash position in a much more gradual way, in a way that is not going to be shocking the residents. It's a gradual incremental rate adjustment, much more in line with your values as a community there. And then we're able to go in here and take a look exactly how it affects our rates structure. We can see how it affects our base charge, each percentage increase. And we have an inclining block rate in this case, how it affects every consumption tier. Now, part of the value that the partnership between the organizations really brings together here is getting a bit more granular in rates. So I'll just quickly show you how we would be doing that. I'll show you our rate design features here. So one moment here.
Just want to point out to everybody in the audience and those who may be watching at home, these are hypothetical scenarios. We are not broadcasting a 7 or a 22% rate increase. We're just modeling some software. I want to make sure that's clear to everybody at home. Okay.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point that I should have mentioned. This is a demo set, so we use this as a showing a community that's in a very unhealthy position that needs major changes and help, because it helps demonstrate the capabilities of the platform when it's a drastic situation like that. So I do appreciate you pointing that out.
Thanks, Paul.
And so in terms of rate design, this is what we'll be able to tackle when we're looking at balancing that equitability, right? So we can look at your rate design features, and this is how we can make sure your essential users are still protecting that affordability, right? And this is a great value that I think we bring to the community. So billing distribution. Now this would be so we have number of bills on the y-axis and the usage of water increasing to the right on the x-axis. So this section here, this would be your highest amount of users using the smallest amount of water, right? These are be people living in a one-bedroom apartment, not using a ton of water. And then as we go out with usage here, 10,000 to 19,000 and beyond, that would be folks maybe with pools, filling their pools more often, watering their lawns more often. So we can really use this to take a look at how our different customers are using water and make it more equitable in our actual decisions. And then we can look at billing equity here as well in the bottom left-hand corner. And we could see, like in this example of this hypothetical community, we have commercial users that are using about 40% of the water consumption, but only contributing about 30% of the revenues. And then we can compare that to our residential users in this case, which are using less, consuming less water than they're actually contributing back for revenue. So by actually looking at this, we can take those insights and we can restructure rates just to make it as fair as possible and as equitable as possible for everybody. So that's a little deep dive into it. I don't want to go too much into the weeds here. I just wanted to give you guys a snapshot of how we do what we do and why I think it makes sense. Yeah, so thanks a lot for listening. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Any questions from anyone? I think one thing that we need to remind our taxpayers and water users is not too long ago, we were under the Treasury Department for debt reduction because we didn't do these kind of things. We were kind of a crapshoot on how much we charged. We didn't get paid for all the water that was getting used, which has been corrected for the biggest part now. At some point, it's kind of a hard thing to say, but we got to pay for what we use. But we should pay for it as equitably as possible and not any more than we have to pay. This is another huge step in making sure that the people are paying their fair share, but not anymore. So I think it's a very good plan. I know our department heads are well in favor of it, and it is very reasonably priced.
Oh, I agree. I think this is a necessity.
I think one
Absolutely.
of the key advantages from the finance department standpoint is both the extra sort of help with the community, ensuring these numbers are accurate too, but also I believe Watersworth will be doing all of the data entry into the system, which is huge for a small staff like us. So baked into that value is like, it's even more than it would appear on paper because we're not going to be doing that data entry to get this off the ground, which would take a very long time.
Would this be longer than 1 year? It's like a 2-year process, 3-year process?
Yeah, well, the initial is 11,000 for implementation and 8,000 after that. So we'd be able to decide how long we need to continue with it. To me, this is like gold. I mean, because I can figure out all your costs for your roads, everything underneath your roads, a little different animal. So I think this really is a great tool to use, and I love the long-term planning, as I've talked about many times, and just happened to come across this. So it's the timing of it couldn't be any better, especially with all the work that DPW has done. We'd be waiting. I know, Bill, you talked about this a couple times, waiting on the study just because of we're implementing and getting everything all set up. So probably be next year when we finally do that.
Are we looking for any type of action tonight?
Yeah, if you can approve, if you want to approve the cost of the
initial.
Yeah, 11,000 and 8,000 for the ongoing 8,800, then we'd be able to move forward when we're ready to implement it.
I'll make a motion that we go forward with this. Where is
Yes.
the funding going to come from?
Sure. Hang on one second,
Yes.
Jason.
I think we're gonna need to see an actual agreement with this company.
Yes, I was going to say
And we're
with,
gonna need to detail what the services are.
yes,
This presentation isn't detailed enough, but.
okay.
Well,
Pending
we're
your
not
approval.
entering any agreement. We're just authorizing management to move
Yes.
forward.
That's fine.
And then
Yeah.
agreement
Appreciate it,
would
yeah.
certainly be reviewed by you and the
Yes.
manager.
Great, yeah, thank you.
So I have a motion
And then I just,
and support.
and I just want to know where the money, water sewer fund?
50/50 water sewer fund, so
Perfect.
roughly 5.5K the first year, 4K a fund after that.
Okay.
Which is pretty minimal for those funds.
I'm good with that.
I have one other question.
Yes.
Was there any other companies looked at prior to this one?
No, I just the first one I came across. So no, I haven't looked at any other ones.
I think one key thing is we searched them out, they didn't search us out. It seems like every time we've had somebody come to us, it's been less than stellar. So I feel very comfortable that our staff has done due diligence. And
And honestly,
I think
there's,
it's gonna be
there's some communities on here that I'm familiar with, some of the local leaders. Maybe I'll reach out to them too, but
There's some larger cities down in Kent County which are using this, they're statewide, but then also they're using the same rate study standards that are published, that any other company would be using. So really what we're shopping here for isn't their rate study standards, it's their data modeling.
yeah.
Yeah, which is
And,
impressive, as you
yeah.
can see.
And again, I would ask that you amend the motion to pending
That's- yeah,
manager and attorney review.
Manager and attorney review. I'm good with that.
So, as I understand it, this is a motion to move forward, and when we actually get a contract, we bring it back to the council, is that the idea?
I don't think we need to bring it back once you,
In that
Have-
case, I would ask that you consider adding waiving bids to your motion.
Okay, I will add, okay, so you want the motion to be, make a motion to adopt this. The money comes out of the water and sewer fund, and it's pending attorney and manager review. And
to waive
and
competitive
to waive
bidding.
competitive bidding.
And support still agrees.
Okay,
Catherine, you have everything you need? All right, I have a motion and support to authorize our manager and attorney to move forward with Waterworth to do continuous utility rate management and the funding to come from the water and sewer funds and to waive competitive bidding. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Very good. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks a lot, everybody. I do appreciate your time.
Be in touch, Paul.
thanks.
Okay, take care.
All right, now we are going to resolution number 20-2025, support of Amtrak service to Michigan's Upper Peninsula. And did we have a speaker?
He is, yep. He should be on.
Yes, Lewis Valance is here. you
All
hear me?
right. Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, what I'm asking the city of Ishpeming for is a resolution of support for bringing Amtrak service to the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. This stems from, you can thank Indian Trails, the bus service, for this because they are manipulating their schedules, so we cannot get the Amtrak train 332 in Milwaukee at 8:05 a.m. so we can get to Chicago before 9:30, so we can get the West Coast trains that leave at 1:45 and beyond. Currently, right now, we're getting on 334, which is the 11 o'clock departure, which gets us into Chicago. I've actually missed about 10 long distance trains in the past about 4 months because of this. So I said, I've had enough. I talked with a couple of Amtrak executives, and they love the idea of coming to the UP. State of Wisconsin is looking at coming into to Green Bay, and I would extend this north of Green Bay through Marinette, Menominee into Escanaba, going north into Calumet, east to Sault Ste. Marie and St. Ignace, and west to Duluth, Minnesota. So it'd be a 3-section train coming up from Chicago. So there'd be more seats available for all Upper Peninsula residents. Because you are competing in Ishpeming with this 55 seats coming out of St. Ignace to St. Marie with 55 Amish that are on that bus, and you guys would not have a seat on that bus going to Milwaukee. So this would add in seat availability for more rural northern Michiganders, as well as the Upers and the Upper Peninsula, to get to the National Transportation Network, to access quality health care, educational opportunities, employment opportunities, and economic development for the Upper Peninsula. Because obviously, you guys are with the National Ski Hall of Fame up there, and that Olympic training facility up there. So would bring in those skiers to that to your area. If the area would market itself like Vail and Aspen, Colorado, and we can do that in the Lower Peninsula with Boyne Mountain and all that, and Nubs Knob and Harbor Springs. But anyway, this would be a federal and state funded. No funds would come from the city of Ishpeming at all. It would utilize the CN tracks that are existing in the Upper Peninsula, and if there's in the abandoned old Sioux line that would go up to Calumet, there would be a stop in Marquette as well as Ishpeming, maybe even Negaunee. This would be beneficial for the city of Ishpeming, for the entire Upper Peninsula.
All right, thank you.
No problem. I have support from Jack Bergman. I have support from state lawmakers, Gary Peters' office. They're all for it. This is his baby. So, but anyway, I hope that you guys do pass this tonight. If you
All
have any
right, thank
questions for me.
you. Any questions from him? I will read the resolution. As I said, Resolution 20-2025, City of Ishpeming, support for Amtrak service to Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Whereas passenger rail service provides significant economic, environmental, and social benefits by connecting communities, encouraging tourism, supporting local businesses, and reducing carbon emissions. Whereas current Amtrak service terminate in the Lower Peninsula of Michigan, limiting direct, efficient transportation options for residents and visitors to the Upper Peninsula, including the city of Ishpeming. And whereas Ishpeming and the broader Upper Peninsula have demonstrated strong potential for increased tourism, business travel, and local mobility, which would be further enhanced by access to passenger rail service. And whereas expanded Amtrak service would provide alternative transportation options to rural and underserved residents, improving regional mobility and encourage sustainable travel practices. And whereas investing in passenger rail infrastructure and service is consistent with regional economic development goals, now therefore be it resolved that the Ishpeming City Council strongly supports the extension of Amtrak passenger rail service to the Upper Peninsula, including consideration of routes serving Ishpeming and surrounding communities. And be it further resolved that the City of Ishpeming urges state and federal transportation agencies, Amtrak, and regional partners to prioritize feasibility studies, infrastructure investments, and community engagement as steps toward realizing this important expansion. And be it finally resolved that the city clerk shall forward a copy of this resolution to the Michigan Department of Transportation, Amtrak, and offices of the governor and state legislators and other relevant partners to advocate for enhanced passenger rail access to the Upper Peninsula.
I'm happy to make a motion to support and adopt the resolution. It's going to be a monumental task to get it done, but it would be a serious benefit to the Upper Peninsula, that is for sure.
I will support that. And we will need a roll call vote or just call a question? Just call a question, okay. We have a motion and support to adopt Resolution 20-2025. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Once completed, can you email me that resolution, please?
Yeah, she will, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Aye. Deficit elimination plans, Grant.
All right, so I believe that some of you have seen these before, and this may be the first time some of you are seeing these. We had a few funds that finished year end in a deficit, 2 of them completely normal, and I will explain why later. And one we were well aware of, the Brass Wire Campground. So I will take the Brass Wire first. This deficit elimination plan really varies from the ones we put out in prior years because we have a couple years of data now. And what we're seeing is that outside of the debt service back to our own water and sewer funds, the campground cash flows just fine year over year. It really only costs $15,000 or so, maybe a little more to operate annually. But because of the way that this was built and because of the way that it was funded and because of the way it was set up accounting wise in a completely separate fund versus, for example, like your general fund where you have Alqual, which is a $200,000 a year expenditure for the city with a much smaller revenue source. That doesn't need a deficit elimination plan. But this one being in a separate fund, it does. So my proposal, and why I gave you some of that history here, is that for the year 2026, that we eliminate the Brass Wire Campground Fund and integrate the Brass Wire Campground into the operations of the general fund as its own department, just like Alqual, just like your other Parks and Rec, and just like the Tube Slide. Those are all similar departments within the general fund. What that would do, it was that it would eliminate the need to submit this form every year, and we can only do this till 2028. I don't think that we're going to make up the loans that we owe ourselves before 2028 out of these funds. The other option at this point is that the general fund or public improvement fund would eventually transfer in a large contribution, which would write the fund. So the reason that I like this method and the reason I want to tell the state this is how we'd like to move forward is because regardless, we're going to need to pay for this campground how it originally should have been paid for, which is out of either general fund or public improvement fund. But doing it this way buys us some time. We can still continue to make the loan payments to water and sewer from general. We'll eliminate the need to do this form, and we can continue to kind of monitor and maybe sit on it for another 2 years and see what happens, because I do still think it's gaining traction. It's just not going to happen that quickly. So that's really the difference from this plan from the one that you would have seen from last year for the same fund.
So our action would be at this time to pull this into the general fund
Yep.
instead of doing the deficit elimination.
The deficit elimination that you'd be approving would be me explaining to the state, as you can see on this page, year 2, 2026, there's no activity. So we would run it, because we're halfway through 2025, so we'd continue to run it, and then in 2026, Jan 1, I'd transfer all equity, cash holdings, debt, everything into the general fund. General fund is a governmental fund. It doesn't recognize long-term debt. you're not going to have a terrible effect on your balance sheet. So some clever accounting behind this, but
And that would be your preference as our
it's my
financial director.
preference, yeah.
And I would so move, Kath.
I'll support.
Do want to mention too, I got a permission slip from our auditors before I fix this tax.
That's always good.
They're like our best friends now that we got a clean slate.
Yeah.
All right, we've got a motion and support to do the debt resolution as the financial director described, and at the end of the year, transfer that Brasswire campground to the general fund. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good.
Alrighty, the next one that we are looking at is the Partridge Creek Compost Fund. And I think a lot of us are aware, because this fund has been the subject of much discussion. This is just a pass-through fund to administer a grant to Partridge Creek Compost. The deficit in 2024 stems from expenditures out of the fund with lags in grant reimbursement. So to date, as you can see on note 1 there, the fund is net zero. We've received all of our grant funding. The only thing left to close out this grant will be the final report from the business manager at Partridge Creek Compost, but this fund is whole as of today. So I'm just asking you to approve me telling the state, hey, this wasn't a deficit, but we've taken care of it, we're good. It's done, it's closed out.
So moved.
And motion and support to have the financial director tell the state that Partridge Creek Partridge Creek Compost is not in deficit. Motion and support, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good.
Alrighty, and then our last one is for our Parks Construction Fund. This is your Teal Lake Water Trail, and I think this may have spanned like 4 different managers. This grant has been outstanding for a very long time, and last year we made quite a bit of headway. We had a very large payment for that dock equipment, but this grant is still open, and it wasn't until 2025, you can see on our little financial excerpt here on the deficit elimination plan, we did receive $123,000, or we do expect to receive $123,000, some additional contributions, and about $114K I have left budgeted for the grant. We are talking about, I know, some extra expenditures like the run of dock that we authorized Bill to go look at. So that'll ultimately affect the numbers, but this is just an estimate to the state, basically saying, again, this is a project fund. There was a lag in grant reimbursement timing, and then we are going to basically collect the rest of our grant revenue, transfer in whatever we may need to cover things like that ramp. I believe we may have some additional contributions coming in, and then that fund will be closed out.
So moved.
Motion and support with a question. We went into this venture with the city of Nagani. Are we squared with them financially? Do they owe us money?
Yep, so the city of Nagani, let's see, let me blow the dust off my brain here for a sec. We had some discussions because they bought a bit of a bigger dock, a bit of a fancier dock. So I believe we did have to go back and rework some of the math on how we were going to split up these costs. They did give us an additional $5K last year at the end of the year. Did we bill them? I'd like to get you a better answer. I'd like to go home and do some
Then should we
do some research.
That's fine.
Yeah.
The deficit elimination is still irrelevant
The
for that.
deficit, for the purpose of the deficit elimination plan, we're just basically telling the state that this next year, we're gonna get the rest of our grant funding, and then we're gonna transfer whatever we need to in from public improvement to cover those other little additional, maybe we have another footing or something, and then we'll be quietly on our way and this fund will be closed out.
Just so my city is
Yeah.
made whole.
Absolutely.
All right, I have a motion and support to authorize grant to move forward with the deficit elimination for the Teal Lake RPG. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good, thank you, sir. Special events, Superior Connections is looking for Saturday and Sunday, August 30th and 31st for alcohol recreation. And, oh, I was just gonna ask, is anybody here to speak?
Hi, I'm here.
Go ahead.
Sarah has some flyers too that we've kind of made up for the event. So we actually only, I apologize if there was a misprint on our application, but we would only like to use the event for the 31st from 1 to 5. We would have the inflatables dropped off a little bit early, and then picked up the day after Labor Day. But basically the event that we want to hold is August 31st is International Overdose Awareness Day, and that is, celebrated and in many different ways all across the world. One way that we would like to do that is by partnering with OPEN, who is the Overdose Prevention Engagement Network. Some of you may have heard of them before, and really pair education and a memorial element. So OPEN will be there providing Narcan kits as well as locking medication bottles, and then demonstrations upon request on how to use those. A reminder for everyone, Narcan education is life-saving education. So, having that available, in your car, in your home, you never know when a situation might arise, both for accidental overdoses, accidental misuse of medication. Some elderly may be taking a wrong medication or taking it a second time. And then also a lot of times overdose can happen from, improper disposal of medication as well, which can help with those additional locking medication bottles. Again, this event is free to the community to participate, so we will have some memorial rock painting in order to honor anyone that we've lost to overdose, as well as some inflatables for the kids to kind of keep them busy while parents kind of can have an education element down there with OPEN. So we're just looking for the opportunity to hold that in Alqual. Again, free to participate for the community.
Have you sewed up the insurance with Gauthier?
Yep.
Okay.
Your Honor,
And we'd have proof of that? Okay.
Your
Go
Honor, I'll
ahead.
make a motion that we approve this.
Have a motion and support to allow Superior Connections to have their end overdose campaign on Sunday, August 31st from 1 to 5. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
And one thing I do encourage is people to carry Narcan with them if they can. You never know what could happen. You can get them for free, and it could save a life.
Very good. And now we have a special event for, is this for our powwow, Sarah?
Yes. Your Honor, I'll make a motion to adopt, or to approve this as well.
And there was a change of date on that.
Okay.
There they come.
Also, there's a statement in here that they're looking to close roads. I'll need a map before this happens. I don't know what they want done.
Go ahead.
Hi, back again. We tried for a grant, we didn't get that grant, so we created a powwow committee here in Ishpeming. We're up to 10 people on our committee. It's a diverse, ranging from younger to older, native and non-native, and we're asking the city if we can have a powwow over at Lake Bancroft, like in the area where that used to have the Renaissance Fair, and close off that road for the day like you do for the
Labor
Buzz
Day.
the Gut and
Or
stuff like that.
Like we used to for Labor Day too.
And so far, we have created a sponsorship form because we didn't get that grant. So now we're asking our community and community businesses to help us to fund some of it, because I, of all people, see firsthand the community come together and help something out, because they did so much for me when I was going through what I am going through, my situation. So we were hoping to have it on September 20th, but with so many things going on the reservations in Baraga and up in Houghton, we decided to put it for September 21st. That's why there's there's a change from September 20th to the 21st. So we would have like vendors and a powwow from 2 to 4 where there'd be drumming and introducing what we do as Native Americans and our culture and stuff like that. And then we'd have a indigenous rock concert where Waywen, Danny Garcia's band, they were supposed to play over at 4th of July. It got rained out, so they didn't get their chance, so here's their chance. And what I'm trying to get out of this is that, you know, coming from small town in Baraga, they do an outdoor powwow annually, every year, and I've seen it grow and grow and grow, and I just attended the 47th annual, and you guys are bringing up Brass Wire Campground, and my envision for the future is to have it over there so that campground can get utilized. And I'm telling you what, the Baraga Powwow Grounds gets packed, and they're pushing each other over with tents and stuff so they can have a spot to be by this powwow. And if it became an annual, I mean, I would like for this little one that we're gonna do on September 21st, if approved, be something that everybody can say, wow, that was awesome, we can't wait till next year. And so if it keeps getting bigger and better, I'm hoping that we can move it over to the grounds by the campground so that can get utilized, and we can get funds from that both ways. You know, for the campground, for the powwow, and watch this thing grow and have an annual powwow here in Ishpeming, as we do have a history of indigenous all the way back to 1845, you know, when we had Marjigijik here, bringing in the iron ore. So it kind of broke my heart when I seen that old ish is kind of gonna go. But, you know, the heritage is here and it's been here, and I just would like to bring it back. I had a little motto that if we're approved, it be bringing Ish back, or Nish back to Ish.
Two things that we need, Sarah, as Bill mentioned, a little bit of a sketch of what you need blocked off, and we need to have insurance.
We are under the Ishpeming Community Events.
Oh, okay, we're with them. Is that adequate?
And so
Okay.
they're asking to have Euclid, they're asking to have both the the Lake Bancroft grounds, and then are you asking for?
If it
Bancroft
rains-
Park and the parking
The
lot?
rain out location would be the pavilion. And I'm still supportive of this. I think this is a great way to honor the history of Ishpeming and with its significance and our, you know, the name
People come for
Ishpeming.
these things from just the Upper Peninsula and different counties. People come from all over the United States for these things, so it would bring a lot of huge tourist attraction to our community.
Jason, are you making that a motion?
Yes, that is absolutely a motion.
Can I have a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, no, a second.
Oh, okay. Sure, you can have a second. It's been a long day. Have a motion and support to allow the powwow at Lake Bancroft / Cliffs
And that,
Pavilion,
and
if
that,
there is a rain out.
yeah, and that includes the closure of Euclid along there
As soon
pending
as
a
they draw a
map.
little sketch up.
Yes,
and
pending a
good to
map,
go.
yep.
Do you want that sketch to you, Bill? Okay.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Good luck. I look forward to being there.
Now we're gonna spend some money.
God, I hate hearing that.
Go ahead, Christopher.
Is this on? Should it be red?
It's always red. Somebody was messing with the AV stuff in there, I think they turned volume down.
Button up or button down?
I'll just talk louder. So the first one that's on here is 21-2025, which is for the CWSRF. This month, the only thing we have is Payne and Dolan's invoice, which is for $140,428.43. It should bring them up to date, except for, I think there's a little bit of paving that was done in the meantime after this. So otherwise, I think that would bring them up to date with all of the pipe work that's been done to date.
Houghton Stone, all of that, and.
Houghton Stone is water related with fees.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right, what's your pleasure, council?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 21-2025.
And the amount of $140,428.43.
Yep.
Have a motion and support. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
the next one is resolution 22-2025. This would be for the drinking water. This one, you have three different elements involved. There'd be UP Engineers' invoice, 84014. You'd have Lindbergh and Sons payment request of $1,078,394.14. And then also Payne and Dolan's payment request of $874,305.38 for a grand total of $2,036,713.52.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 22-2025 in the amount of $2,036,713.52.
Motion and support to adopt resolution 22-2025. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
The next item is change order number 2 for contract 1 under the DWSRF. If you recall, last month we did, we added in some of the storm stuff on 3rd Street. This basically catches us up with some of the pricing that was tweaked a little bit. I guess I made an estimate at some of it. So this is basically putting Lindbergh's pricing into place. We also added a few things. So I've broken it out into participating and non-participating. The participating part of it, we're running into some storm that we feel is related to the water, so we had to get some smaller prices as we go from, say, a catch basin to a main or something like that. So we didn't have anything in place before for 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch, or 10-inch. That's what you see there. And then we also did some quantity balances, if you will. Took some things out of some and put them into another just to kind of even things out again. So the net of this change order is $27,656, which would bring Lindbergh's contract up to $11,426,451.50.
Pleasure, guys.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to authorize the change order.
We have a motion and support for change order number 2 on contract 1 with an increase of $27,656. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Change order number 4.
So change order number 4, I guess I'm going to ask for a little bit different than normal. So the value that you see here is $271,745.29. However, again, I took a stab at what Payne and Dolan's numbers would be. So the bulk of this change order, for your information, is on streets D and E. We have water lines going in right now. We have sewer there that's in the grant application that we're preparing, but we're not going to get that because they're going to be there in 2 weeks. So what we're asking is that you guys approve this. We change ordered into Payne and Dolan's contract, and then the funds would come out of your sewer fund to pay them, but that would get you under your Dig Once philosophy where we'd be all done with streets D and E over there instead of digging up half of it and then coming back next year and digging up the other half. So when you look at the back page, the non-participating, that's basically the sewer stuff on D and E. The rest of it is, for the most part, break even, if you will. It's just balancing quantities, but the bulk of this is for D and E. So you can approve this, but if you could approve up to $300,000, so that when I put in the correct numbers with Payne and Dolan, then we have the right number, and we'll amend this to the exact number once we get those from Payne and Dolan. I think it's going to be less than that because I've got sand and gravel in here, which I don't think honestly you're going to need, but I just want to make sure that we're covered so that we don't get delayed because they're going to be in that area in 2 weeks basically.
And the thing that Chris mentions is we don't want them to dig
Right.
and redig. So it's important that we do this. And the increase is the 271.
Correct. Yeah.
But you want it authorized to 300.
If you go up to, yeah, get the exact numbers.
Not,
'cause
yep, not to exceed.
These numbers are based on the 2023 contract with Payne and Dolan. So talking to their project manager, he said that they're probably gonna change slightly just because you've got increased labor and increased rental things and stuff like that for equipment. So I don't envision it changing much more than probably 5–10% max, but that's why I think if you go to the 300, we'll be more than covered.
I will move that we do the change order not to exceed 300,000. I have a motion and support to do change order number 4, not to exceed 300,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
One other thing, sorry, I should have pointed out, back on Lindbergh's, which won't affect anything, but just so you guys, full disclosure, we did add dates to Lindbergh's contract because obviously with adding a substantial amount of work with the storm sewer, then we're not gonna hold them to their initial. So if you look at that, we added 90 days to this. That did come from Lindbergh, so, you know, we told them we'd work with them, but right now that's what they feel they need is an additional 90 days, so that's what you see on this as well, so.
And that came from some of that failed stuff on Third Street? Oh, yeah.
Well, and the bulk of this 90 days is just for the storm work in addition. So if you look at their original contract, it was water related only. Now we've change ordered in storm, so this is what they feel they need to make sure that they get done in a timely fashion. So I just wanted to point that out so you guys are aware. The last one is change order number 1 for contract 2, which is water job. This would be Payne and Dolan's. We ran into some things over in Stone and Houghton area. Unforeseen things, so we put in some under drain. We had a service line that we ran in over there. There's some stone, a couple other things like that. So the total of that comes to $38,285, which brings their total contract up to $10,381,047.25.
So moved.
Have a motion and support for change order number 1, an increase of 38,285. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Then the last on my docket is an amendment to our contract, hopefully. I apologize. When we originally did this, we took an estimate that we thought was going to be reasonable, and it turns out that we're spending a lot more time than we envisioned with driveways and sidewalk approaches, basically. So by shifting everything in, it's just taking us longer to make sure that the grades are working, and we don't want to run into a situation where we have a driveway that isn't working. And hematite, yeah, we redesigned hematite, I guess, if you will. So that's why the need for us, I guess. So basically, we've done time and materials, so that's what we have into it. And I've added in a little bit. I've got about 2 days worth of drafting left for a guy, so we should have stuff by the end of this week. But unfortunately, we're looking at an amendment of about 40,000 for what we have over there to complete everything to make sure that all the grades match and everything works.
You're saying a minimum.
What's that?
You're saying a minimum?
No, that is what our amendment is.
That's, okay.
Yeah. And one thing we are looking at, I don't know if I should say it here or not, but we are looking at the green space, possibly not having green space and being concrete. That would be a cost savings as well because it's more expensive actually to put in seed and mulch and everything than it is to just put concrete. So our guys are looking at the elevations there to make sure that we're not trapping water behind the sidewalk if we were to do that. But if it shows that we are going to save money, I think it would be advantageous to just do concrete the whole way just for plowing and things like that. No maintenance as far as grass goes and things like that. But that's one thing we are looking at right now, just to verify because we don't want to trap water.
I will move that we amend the contract with UPEA for $40,000. One more comment that I have is we're doing our dig once, our due diligence, but we have spent more time with RDPW, Chris and his people, and both contractors out on the job. And I'm really proud of the fact that we're doing it right. And a lot of these changes, even though it's grant money that's getting moved and approved, is money being well spent by us doing the right thing. Like I think we've got a good plan at the end of hematite there, where it hits third, we're gonna straighten it out. We're not taking a bunch of our right of way. I think we might end up losing one tree, if at all.
Actually, the latest one, we might not even lose that.
Oh,
Could I see?
We're still
but we're,
playing with it.
I don't think we have one. Do we have a?
We don't have the final one yet. We're doing iterations right now, but if you want version, Jason.
I would like to just so I can also.
You can walk up from the church parking lot and see it. It's all painted on the street.
Yeah.
All right, I just wanted to have a copy of it just to give to the church.
Yes. Well, once we have a final one, I'll share it with you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we have a motion and support. No further questions. All those in favor? Aye, opposed? That's it for you, Chris.
I guess the only other update is, like Phil said, we've got 8th edition. Everything is paved over there. That whole area should be done by Friday. I think everything will be back to the way it was pre-water construction. The other thing, as of right now, it's looking like the week of Labor Day that Payne and Dolan will be back in to pave over by, I don't know, what do you want to call it, Cedar, Willow, Vision, maybe Washington, that neighborhood there. I don't know if you have a name for that neighborhood, but that's basically where they'll be at to do their next round of paving. So, is there any other questions?
Anything for Chris? Time to head to Chassel.
If you guys, if I can make one comment, if you guys get a chance, if, it's gonna open up Friday night, if you get a chance, go up there and look at the 8th edition, specifically what we did in front of the Miracle Center, but then also by the cemetery. We worked with the county. The logging trucks, when they're coming from the north, the basin area, they would just pull over on the side. They were wrecking the shoulders. They were just pulling over in the dirt. We made a deal with the county. We paid for the gravel. They paid for the blacktop. So now there's actually a semi turnout where they can binder all their loads and everything.
Very cool.
It looks good up there. All right. Item 11K is a request, I'm sorry.
Zoning administrator change.
Oh, that's what I'm looking at, I think. Just got the wrong letter. And Randy is gonna touch on that?
Actually, Grant is like, I completely support this, but Grant's really done the homework on this one.
Basically, I think the need for this is, and some of the background is that the city has utilized a part-time zoning and planning administrator for years, largely due to budget constraints. And then I remember before my employment here, Al actually talking to me as a resident about how hard it was to find people for this position. So I like talking about this as Randy has modeled about the position and about what's best for the city. And although we have a very competent planning and zoning administrator in right now, I like to think about this removed from any one individual. So as we look at this, I think there is certainly work available to be done. Our current position is 30 to 35 hours a week, so we're really only talking about an increase of 10 to 5 hours a week. I use 10 for my numbers, so we'll see a conservative guess at the increase in cost. Fiscal impact, this would be funded out of the general fund. We can see the annual cost of the change in status for the position is $28K, and that would include benefits, as I've included a full breakdown there on the second page of this agenda item. Our alternatives is we could keep the position part-time, but I really think this will affect some pretty high priority work that we need done out of that department, especially as we move forward into our redevelopment ready cert.
I was just gonna say that.
Yep, exactly. I think that keeping the position part-time would negatively affect the city's ability to recruit and maintain competent staff, which is somebody we want in that position. So I would recommend changing the position status to full-time.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support to do our zoning department from part-time to full-time. And are we gonna change that to zoning and planning, or how do we, what's the title there?
Zoning planning director.
Zoning
Okay.
planning director, yeah.
And without the changes you guys made last year in the general fund, this wouldn't be possible, so really seeing the fruits of that. That's a good change last year, for sure.
Any other comments, questions? Have a motion and support. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And now, one of our favorites over the last 3 months, potential purchase of Cliff's property. Council, what is your pleasure?
I will make a motion that we enter into an agreement pending all reviews to purchase land from Cleveland Cliffs at the cost of $239,753 pending upon our funding source. That can be a grant, a loan.
Yes, I've already been in contact with Nicolay Bank. Once we have a tentative agreement, Boris Johnson, our relationship banker over there, will draft up a note for us. But that would be one that we wouldn't sign until we have all of our contingency research done.
Yeah, this is something that we're entering into that could take not only months, maybe years.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion, and who supported?
I just wanna, Caroline looks like she wants
Yeah,
to say something.
I just would like you to clarify the motion. There's no actual agreement at this point, so I'm just wondering how far your motion goes to authorize city staff to move forward on this?
How do you want it worded? I'll make the amendment.
Well, are you saying that you're authorizing moving forward to get an agreement?
Yes.
And to secure financing if we can get an agreement?
Yes.
Catherine, you got what you need? All right, we have a motion, and who supported? A motion and support to move forward with a agreement to purchase the Cleveland Cliffs property, 1,107 acres, at a purchase price of $239,753. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Now the work begins.
Yep.
All right, we have the first reading of the new ordinance on short-term rental. It came back to us unchanged from Planning Commission. And I guess what I would like, and let me know, Ben is our liaison, let me know if this makes sense. A couple of questions for us to answer, and then I would like to send it back to staff for housekeeping, and then come back to us with a draft. The questions I have are we gonna look for a registration fee? What are your thoughts on that?
I think we should.
I agree with that, just like any rental.
And that's my position as well, that we would, okay. And are we going to look at, one of the things that came from public input was density. How many can you have in a neighborhood?
I can speak on that. We didn't take action on that because we believe with the rules in place and ordinance, being able to contact people, we won't have issues with Airbnbs like we previously had. If there is issues, we can take action, and we have to do density, we can do that at further time.
Under, and just so I understand, under things like noise, parties,
Correct.
we'd fall back on the other ordinance. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Everybody reasonable on that? Okay.
My question is, do we have a number of how many we have?
No, and that's what we're leading up to. We can't register them until this is adopted.
And is 50 that's listed in here, that seems like a lot for our community.
I think we looked at different communities across Michigan, and that seemed to be kind of normal.
And that again
That's good for 3
is
years.
we're gonna do 2 readings, hey? That's not cast in concrete, so.
And And what happens if, say, it comes back and we've got 60? How do we say who gets one?
That'll be part of our, yeah.
Because I think anything over 50 is way too much.
And that'll be part as we start to enforce the ordinance and do the final reading. Yeah. How about inspections?
Yes, we didn't do inspections because most times, people that do rent these Airbnbs, there's a high checklist of what needs to be in them. So if it's a crappy place, it's not gonna get rented. And I don't know if we had the manpower to actually
Right.
do that.
That's my concern. We can't keep the 3-year inspection on our rentals. So we certainly aren't gonna be able to inspect these. So I'm gonna tentatively say no inspection. And I kind of believe that too. If you're getting big money to rent your unit out, it better be nice, because they're not gonna keep coming, hey?
That's something you could address in the future too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get out with that.
Anything that you think I'm missing?
No, I think those are some good outlines, and I think staff can work on this and bring you something that maybe you can pick apart in detail.
All right, we will work on that and get it back as quickly as we can.
Do we have to make a motion on this though, or is this?
No, this is just for, we're not voting on
We're not voting
anything,
on
just
the first reading.
information, right?
Okay.
Absolutely. That is not a reading. And we had to repair our aerial fire truck.
I mean, it's under 5. Do we still need to approve this?
I think it's been done, hasn't it, Jason?
No, it hasn't been done yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 3340. I will move that we authorize the chief to move forward with the repairs on the Stupin aerial fire truck repair.
Support, yeah.
Have a motion and support to repair, is that Pomisol? Yep.
Yeah, it's through Woodruff, Wisconsin, Emergency Vehicle Services.
Oh, the ones that were here the other day. Gotcha.
Yep.
All right, we have a motion and support to repair the aerial truck for $3,340. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. And the manager's report is all that's left, and council reports. All right, here we go.
Yeah, mine will be quick. So I'll just point out a couple things. I met with the Blight work group. We have a work group that's moving forward. We got all the documentation in line that we feel is appropriate moving forward. We sent out our first letter to our first property. We probably have 10 properties on the list, I'd say. And I have documents ready to send out, but I'm giving it a couple weeks for each one just because I don't want to get everybody overwhelmed and have them all at one time. So we're moving forward with that. We just added one today, the mayor and I found. Talked to Cascade about garbage recycle carts, work with Grant to put that on our CIP. I'll have to bring a policy forward to the council to see if that's what you want to do. So I'll work on that and bring that forward in the next couple of months. Otherwise, just pretty standard routine meetings. I've met with equalization director, Grant and the mayor and myself. If you can meet and understand what's going on there, good luck. It's a very complicated system. Wisconsin and I said it's kind of funny, Wisconsin and Michigan go about it completely different terminology, but get to the same exact spot. So it's kind of interesting for me personally. But the bottom line is we need new homes and new construction is the way we build our tax base. So I think the mayor kind of broke that down last meeting, but that's really where we're at. So that's all I have unless there's any questions.
Any questions for the manager? All right. Let us move to mayor and council reports. Ben?
Planning commission was a great meeting. We did dissect the Airbnb ordinance, and then Randy to join us for that meeting, and we went through what our goals are for the next couple of years. And then we did meet the mayor and Randy. We talked about communication with the construction. hopefully we'll be having better communication with our citizens moving forward, just so it's more aware of what roads are being closed, what's being worked on for that week. So hopefully we'll see that rolled out this week with updates on Facebook and social media.
Can I add to that? Yeah, so we put a link to our website, and then we do have, even though our intern is leaving to go back to college, he's willing to do an update every single day. So we're going to have an update every single day on Facebook about the construction. And that started today. Thank you.
With both contracts.
Yep.
Anything else?
Nope, good.
All right, Jason.
Yeah, I'd like to still potentially see a blue and white logo for the city. I should have brought that up, but we've traditionally been blue and white. So, I mean, it would kind of be nice to see that, at least a mock-up of it, see what it looks like. Shouldn't be hard to at least see a mock-up of it. And then met with the city manager regarding a few things. Just want to thank Randy for the continued open door meetings. Things seem to continue to go well, and I hear amazing things in the community through interactions and whatnot. And then my coffee hours are coming back starting on September 4th at 10:30 a.m. and that will be at the Ski Hall of Fame.
All right, anything else?
Oh, one other thing. I wanted to add, congratulations to Robbins Flooring on becoming the producer of all future NBA floors. That's a big deal for Ishpeming to be producing all the NBA courts for
They
the
graduated,
future.
they've been doing collegiate courts for about 20 years.
Right,
It's quite an operation over there.
yes it is.
Brett?
So I attended the Ishpeming School Board meeting just this past Monday, and then also attended the DDA meeting. We used to meet on a every other month basis, and then joint meetings with the planning 2 times a year as well. We're now going to begin on a monthly basis, beginning this month, next week, with our new revolving grants for facade and improvement grants. That really helps speed up a lot of the timelines for people that want to fix up their business if they're outside, and a lot of times before they would have to apply, if there's a little change to it, they'd have to wait 2 months for that to come back to the DDA. So now that's going to be moving up every month now, so that'll be a big help. As far as events, I attended the ribbon cutting for the joint dock on the Nagani side of Teal Lake. Nice new equipment for the kayakers, rowers. Nagani expressed that they will be coming to our side once we get that completed. I also attended the business after hours that was put on by some Ishpeming business owners at Native Nails just this past week. A lot of people showed up. A lot of people talked about ideas how to foster business growth and community within business owners themselves instead of trying to there's something a little different than the LSP. It's more of a community-based between business owners. There is going to be another business after hours. It's going to be at Goldie's this upcoming month, September 18th from 5:30 to 7. And if you are a business owner and want to be a part of it, contact anyone on the DDA. It's not sponsored by the DDA, but a lot of the members are helping put this forward. So that's all I got.
Very good, thank you, sir. I only have a few things. One I want to touch on. Bill mentioned our auction coming up, and that's one of the first steps for cleaning up the brownstone. We're a lot of stuff over there that we can get rid of, and after we get rid of the stuff that has value, it'll be time to start taking it to the landfill. But we will continue with that, and we have had complaints about broken windows on the Bell buildings over there, and we looked at our own buildings. So we'll be following up on that as well. Construction meetings, as Randy said, we stressed You'll probably get sick of updates now, because whether there's a change or not, they're gonna put a daily update on. We figured it's better to have more information than not enough. So the communication should improve quite a bit. I did attend my Commission on Aging meeting for first time in a few months. The senior center is really killing it. It's a tough act because you go, well, I think Ray goes for coffee, eh, Ray? You walk in there and there's 20 or 30 people, you know, having a cup of coffee, and it turns from a 5-minute pass-through to a 20-minute discussion. But they're running a beautiful place over there. And Randy and I did go up to Alqual, and we should be doing our ribbon cutting. Bill and his boys put the handicap ramp in, and everything looks good up there, so we should be setting that up shortly, hey?
Yeah, we got some signs gotta go.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do any type of ribbon cutting for that new stage thing, or any celebration for that?
I don't know, that would be up to St. Rocco's, St. Anthony's. But I thought they would have done it during St. Rocco's. All right, folks, that's it. A motion is in order.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support, all those?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.